Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Now, I believe that my peace is my most valuable asset.
Absolutely beautiful! This is exactly what I was looking for! DJ Khaled!
It is a day to celebrate.
We're ready for action.
I like it when it's nice and soft. Yeah, that is nice.
How was it like growing up in Nigeria? Yes, sir, you know what it is.
Feeling is there that, you're doing something special.
Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
You should just be what you want to be.
Experience the extraordinary with Starsat.
It's a very good morning and a warm welcome to Galaxy Universal Network, channel 500 on Starsat. Igama lami ke ngusisando nomusa kwaqwabe khuthwa intombazane yaphansi kwamhlabe yalingana. Mfula ngiphuza ngiphuza gelegele kanti inkomo zakithi ngayishiya zidla phansi emahlathini asekubandeni kanti ke zona siphuze ebhudlweni umfulo ohamba ngeslow motion. Kwesikwazi bisigodi kula ngibuya khona ke ngathola amabomba ami ngawabhekisa egoli kwandonga ziyaduma kwanyama kayipheli kuphela amazinga endoda. Today is a Heritage Day, of course. It is the 24th of September. We hope that you are having a beautiful Thursday morning with us. It's going to be a very beautiful Thursday morning with us right here on Pan African Morning. It's an action-packed, of course. We are having, various guests from all spheres and all walks of life. So please do enjoy the next 3 hours of your time with us. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be very informative. And definitely what is most important is that we are celebrating who we are. We are celebrating our culture. We are celebrating our heritage. And most importantly, we are celebrating being African. Ngithi ngizisho nje kancane ke mina ngumnguni phakathi kwayo yeye wathedla umuntu emnyanga endaba bathi kuntabani lokho ungoye gumede uqabeka malandela waphansi le ongoyeke njengoba usubonile ke I am right here. I'm going to be with you from now until 9 o'clock in the morning. We are going to have, of course, a couple of news that we're going to go through. But what is more important today is that we are going to have our programming a little bit different from what it usually is, as we are going to start with our interviews as early as 7 o'clock. We are going to be hosting Bishop Maponga as well as Umamu Shalumbata. And then later on, we are going to be having Ubaba, the current president of Inkatha Freedom Party. So this is going to be one beautiful and most memorable day in our lives. Without taking much of your time, of course, would like to thank you for allowing us to broadcast in your homes. We would like to thank you also for those that are watching us through our social media platforms. Thank you so much, Siyabonga, for you to be with us. And for those that, of course, we are in the north, east, south, and of course, the eastern parts of this beautiful African continent, we're saying bonjour to you. Good morning. Thank you for being with us. Let's go straight to the news headlines. President Cyril Ramaphosa to deliver the National Heritage keynote. And of course, the former President Jacob Zuma launches an attack on Deputy Justice Zondo. And tons of chloroquine illegally imported in South Africa has been disrupted. And of course, a Christian organization calls for Reverend Omotoso's release. And of course, this is a story that we are going to look into, of course. And of over 300,000 people have fled Mozambique due to hunger. And of course, Belarus president abruptly sworn in. These are the stories we're going to look into. And also we have looked into another story when we are in the story of the churches. We have got Pastor Mboro that has gone to court yesterday to lay charges, of course, against, or he has actually laid charges before. So, but he was going to court appearance, of course, in the case that he opened against Pastor or Prophet Bushiri in there. So we are going to give you these stories and more, of course, right here on Pan African Morning, as we give you the first top story. President Cyril Ramaphosa will today virtually deliver the 2020 National Heritage Keynote Address under the theme Celebrating South Africa's Living Human Treasures. Under this theme, the living human treasures seek to refer to as celebrate the repositories of knowledge, customs and traditions. This year's Heritage from month will be dedicated to the living human treasures, namely Dr. Esther Mahlangu, Mama Madosini and Latozi Mpahleni and Mama Oma Katrina Letsawu. The program will start at 12 midday today. We'll catch up on that one, of course, during our midday express. We are going to look into that one. As we continue as part of these celebrations in their honor, 3 books have been launched that acknowledge the efforts of these great women who have distinguished themselves in their chosen field of artistic occupation, putting South Africa on the global cultural map. Throughout the month, government will be promoting South African indigenous knowledge holders who have been producing goods and services within the local communities but have not received their deserved national and international acclaim and recognition. Arrests loom in connection with the alleged fraud and corruption of the Nguma Yetemba, a municipality in the Eastern Cape. On Tuesday, the East London Hawks visited the municipality offices to search for the documents linked to the alleged 26 million rand fraud. Several companies were awarded tenders for road constructions and for designing a community hall between 2017 and 2018, but none of them completed the work, despite being paid the money. Now, the former President Jacob Zuma has launched an attack on Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo after the head of the State Capture Commission made it clear this week that he expects the former head of state to appear before him at the Zondo Commission before the end of this year. In a statement released on Wednesday, the Jacob Zuma Foundation said that Zondo was very obsessed with the former head of state and was intent on attacking him and his loyals. The statement further stated that the mission's announcement that its lawyers would apply for a subpoena that will force Zuma to answer questions on November 16 to 20 was designed to humiliate Zuma and his attorneys and was an unjustified and prudential situation that they've gone into there. Of course, as we continue with the stories, it is never too early to teach children about safeguarding themselves against kidnapping. That's according to Bianca van Asugon from Missing Children organization. Van Asugon says that parents should also keep a very close eye on their children, especially in their social media activities. She says that parents should be more vigilant on their surroundings, especially in the public spaces, even at home. She added that there is a need to educate children from young age as to how to keep themselves safe from being kidnapped. Meanwhile, police says that despite the worrying voice notes about the increase in the kidnapping of children, they are not seeing a big rise in this type of crime. Instead, adults kidnapped for ransom is in increase.
Child trafficking and human trafficking in general is a huge topic, and obviously it raises a lot of concerns. People are very fearful about the risks of child and human trafficking. But actually, there's a huge gap between what we actually know and what we claim to know. And unfortunately, what has happened is those claims, and most of them are based on sort of exaggerated numbers and myths and a real panic about child trafficking. Those claims have come to stand in for the facts about child trafficking, which then leaves us able to claim that it's escalating and it's widespread and it's a huge problem, when actually it's far more complicated than that, and it's one piece of a much more complicated story.
On Wednesday, more than 2 tons of illegally imported chloroquine were destroyed by the authorities. It was reported in May that about 20 million rand worth of anti-malarial medicine was slipped through customs in Johannesburg. The 2.5 tons of chloroquine arrived in South Africa several months ago. The drug was being touted at possible treatment for COVID-19, but the importer, a company called Balmoral, was not licensed to import the medication. The company director, Dave Avnet, told the SA Health Production Regulatory Authority that the drugs were in transit, but the SA Health Product Regulatory Authority rejected this transaction. The destruction of the medication means that it can no longer make it into the local pharmacy shelves, and it is of course on for the culprit who either used the fraudulent document or paid off custom officials to get the consignment into the country.
Yeah, good afternoon, Jeremy. Well, it was around about May that I'd been given the weigh bill for the chloroquine consignment. It was 2.6 tons of the stuff which had made its way through OR Tambo International Airport and had been checked out. And it was based on that we started scratching around. And ultimately, if you recall, if you can go back to that time, we actually were led to the location in Boksburg. It was being held at a security company's facility. They're saying that they claim the people who had imported, a company by the name of Balmoral Norse, claimed that it was in fact in transit on its way out of the country. But if that was the case, it was supposed to have been in a bonded warehouse still on the premises of the airport. Further investigations linked it to another company, a health services provider, Affinity Health, but that forms part of a broader investigation by SAPRA. But that's the gist of it, is that we had got tipped off that this consignment had come in unlawfully, that there were no papers for it, and SAPRA, through our investigation, were led to the
COSATU in Gauteng province have questioned the African National Congress' ability to lead the country out of its many problems following its provincial executive committee meeting on Tuesday. COSATU said that it was becoming difficult to ignore that the working class had now lost confidence in the governing elites, of course, and their ability and willingness to fix the mess they have created. The organization says that everything from the rates of unemployment and economic decline, corruption, attack on collective bargaining, adherence to liberal economic and policies points out to the fact that the alliance has begun a descent that will sink it and the country. COSATU further says that the resolution from the last year's Congress to build the alliance was also troubled by its incompetent and important lack of cohesiveness and decisiveness. This comes as the SACP is contemplating and participating in next year's local government elections as part of its resolution to independently contest for state power outside of the banner of the African National Congress. The Federation also weighed on the COVID-19 looting scandal, which saw relief funds being plundered through tender corruption, especially in the procurement of the personal protective equipment. Among many others issues, COSATU denounced racism in South Africa and blamed that the ANC government's economics policies is the source of this arrogance of white supremacy. Now moving on with our other stories, 5 suspected cash-in-transit robbers have been shot dead after shootout with the police in Down Park in Boksburg on Wednesday. 2 other suspected robbers have been arrested and some money had been recovered. Police confiscated 4 unlicensed firearms and ammunition on the scene, as well as an undisclosed amount of money. 3 vehicles have been hijacked in separate incidents in Gauteng this year. In Springs, Midrand and Boksburg North were also recovered on the scene. The National Police Commissioner General Ketla Sitole says that as the festive season is approaching, there will be heightening vigilance and prioritizing of cash-in-transit robberies, especially in the Gauteng province where it is more prevalent. The Christians of The Christians of South Africa organization is demanding that Reverend Timothy Omotoso be released. Its members marched to the National Prosecuting Authority yesterday, insisting that all charges against Omotoso must be dropped. The Nigerian televangelist has been awaiting trial for 3 years. He faces about 97 charges, including human trafficking, racketeering and rape. Omotoso allegedly trafficked more than 30 girls and women from his church. The national lockdown postponed proceedings in the High Court in Port Elizabeth in April. Omotoso and his two co-accused were denied the charges, as they are still remanded in police custody. Have a look. The Action SA President, Herman Mashaba, says that he will reveal more major findings in the Lily Mine case. In January this year, Mashaba announced that he will pursue legal action to force the Department of Mineral Energy to retrieve the container with the remains of trapped Lily Mine workers from more than 4 years by now. Briefing the media on Wednesday, Mashaba said that it is disturbing that the rescue mission was put on hold and never resumed again. He added that authorities have been casual about the case, and that alone is very, very much disappointing.
After 4 years of asking, petitioning and pleading for the support of the government, the former miners and families at Lily Mine were treated with total disdain. Furthermore, despite the findings of DMRE report, the efforts to open a criminal case against mine management were resisted. However, they eventually filed the case number /1/4 2019 in 2019. Despite the fact that a death on duty in any mining environment is a matter of law, should have triggered a police investigation and swift action by the Department of Labor, who are responsible for the regulation of health and safety standards in the workplace. Their silence is deafening. Not to mention, ladies and gentlemen, the outrage from the labor unions of our country. Just last week, the NPA met with the former miners and affected families to ask if they wanted to lay criminal charges, demonstrating just how casually this case has been treated.
The World Food Programme says that it is extremely concerned about the escalating conflicts in Cabo Delgado in Mozambique. Over 300,000 people are now reported to have fled their homes and villages, abandoning crops. The World Food Programme's Lola Castro says that the situation is getting worse in Mozambique and the mass hunger is expected to deepen. Sola says that the situation could get out of control within a very short space of time.
The situation is really very, very severe at this moment because since 2017 there have been attacks that have created displacement of populations, and now we are seeing approximately 310,000 people have left the northern districts of Cabo Delgado, Mocimboa da Praia, Palma, Kisanga, and they have gone to the same province, to Cabo Delgado province, but also they have gone beyond. They have gone to other provinces in the south, Nampula province, in the east, Niassa province. And the people are running without anything. They have left their fields. They have left their homes. So basically, the only thing that is there is the support from the government, the communities, and the World Food Programme and the other United Nations agencies and NGOs to ensure that they have minimum things to survive this very, very dire situation. And food security is very problematic because obviously, as you know, if you don't plant, if you are not in your house, in these very poor areas already, chronically poor, it's very difficult for them to maintain themselves.
President Alexander Lukashenko of Belarus was sworn in for a new term on Wednesday in an inauguration denounced as illegitimate by the opposition, which called for more than protest against his 26-year rule. The sudden ceremony, which would normally be publicized as a major state occasion, but was instead held without warning, followed a disputed election on the 9th of August 2020, in which Lukashenko claimed a landslide victory. The opposition accuses him of massive vote rigging and also has staged more than 6 weeks of mass protest demanding his resignation. The United States and the European Union are drawing up sanctions against the officials involved in the elections and, of course, a subsequent crackdown by the security forces. The official news agency Belt said that Lukashenko placed his right hand on the copy of the Constitution and saw the oath of the office at the ceremony attended by several hundreds of people. The 66-year-old leader said that the country needed safely and consensus on the brink of course, a global crisis and apparent reference to the COVID-19 pandemic. Rumors had swept mix that the 66-year-old leader in power since 1994 was preparing for a snap inauguration ceremony when a motorcade swept through the center of the capital earlier on Wednesday. The opposition political party, which is Pavel Lyshenko, said that, Latushko said that the swearing in was like a secret thieves meeting. Now let's take a look at that.
Alexander Grigorievich Lukashenko.
Человека и громадянина заховывать и оборонять Конституцию Республики Беларусь свято и добросумленно выполнять складенное на войне, урочисто клянусь верно служить народу Республики. В этот торжественный день неоднократно отработанных безотказно теориями трансграничной коммерции не отказывались от своей социальной политики государства, но белорусы как желают ей мира, спокойствия и процветания, что наши граждане в абсолютном большинстве, но мы оказались.
India's famed Tal Mahal reopened on Monday as authorities pressed ahead the kicks starting the nation's coronavirus battered economy despite soaring, of course, the infection numbers. India, the home of 1.3 billion people and some of the world's most crowded cities, has recorded more than 5.4 million COVID-19 cases, recorded only to the United States, which it could overtake very soon. But after the strict lockdown in March that devastated the livelihood of tens of millions of people, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is reluctant to copy some of other nations and tighten the screw on the activity once again. Instead, in the recent months, his government has eased more and more restrictions, including many train routes, domestic flights and markets, restaurants, and of course they are also now open, and visiting Taj Mahal is also now permitted. The jaw-dropping white marble mausoleum in the Agra, south of New Delhi, in India's most popular tourist site. It usually draws 7 million of visitors in 1 year, but has been closed since March. Officials say that strict social distancing rules were in place and visitors were not allowed to touch the marble. The famous bench where the visitors sit on a photo for just a very quick photo, most memorably Princess Diana in 1992, has been especially laminated so that it can be regularly sanitized without damage. Dry conditions of temperature has caused a wildfire in the west coast of the United States over the couple of weeks. Industrial-scale burning of fuel has changed the planet and also fires with one consequence. Widespread fires create a negative loop, speeding up climate change due to the dryness. According to the experts, these wildfires could be the new normal due to severe climate changes that are being experienced worldwide.
The fires ravaging the west coast of the U.S. have captured the world's imagination and inspired horror. But they are not the only ones. In the Amazon rainforest, vast swaths of land are on fire. Terrifying, uncontrollable blazes tore through large parts of Australia last year, and in the Arctic, vast fires are consuming the tundra and peatlands of Siberia, an area that has never burned before on such a scale. A fire historian who has studied fires for decades says we have entered a new era.
I'm calling it the Pyrocene, and that is because I think we're living in a fire age.
The industrial-scale burning of fossil fuels has changed the planet, and fires are but one consequence.
Once the magnitude of our fossil fuel burning scaled up to the point that it's unhinging the climate, all the collateral effects which we're discovering are very unhelpful for the world that we've created.
Widespread fires create a negative feedback loop, speeding up climate change.
We're going to be dealing with it and managing it in perpetuity.
It's time for us to take a very short break. When we're coming back, we've got more news and update for you right here on Pan African Morning. Please do stay with us.
Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Now, I believe that my peace is my most valuable asset.
Absolutely beautiful! This is exactly what I was looking for! DJ Khaled!
It is a day to celebrate.
We're ready for action.
I like it when it's nice and soft. Yeah, that is nice.
How was it like growing up in Nigeria? Yes, sir, you know what it is.
Feeling is there that, you're doing something special.
Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
You should just be what you want to be.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
God is so amazing.
Feel the heat.
The Bible says that through his death on the cross, we are now reconciled with our Father.
Forgive and you shall be forgiven.
So wherever God takes us, we're just excited about it.
As a child of God, where you are, you must have an hour of prayer.
Feel the excitement.
In the name of Jesus! In the name of Jesus!
I believe that God is working right now.
Feel the heat with StarSat. Feel the heat.
You said you love me. I do.
Sure.
Yeah.
He bounce on you.
Oh, no, you don't! Get out of my way! Get out!
That is an abomination. Oh, the love you promised me.
Do you have a boyfriend? Yeah?
Feel the excitement.
You don't know how I've been longing for this.
Feel the heat with StarSat.
Talk brought to you by Tamani Technologies and Systems. Tamani Technologies and Systems takes leadership in fourth industrial revolution. The whole world is facing a transformation. The revolution will be developed into the following stages: digitization, cyber security, Internet of Things, managed services, document management, and business applications. We provide business transformation and ICT solutions with presence in 13 African countries and 2 European countries. We are your leading partner in integrated platform providers, innovation leaders, standalone products, and innovation pace setters. Tamani Technologies and Systems, delivering value across continents.
Hello. The fourth industrial technology era has forcefully changed how every profession has been working for its clients. The world has become smaller than what we used to think. Imagine the ease of talking to a person who is in Australia, China, or Germany while you are in South Africa, as if you're just next door. The ease that globalization and the fourth industrial technology have brought to humanity entail doing business anywhere in the world as long as you have the purpose and the means. It is our expertise as MB Chabangu Incorporated to advise clients immigrating to South Africa on various permits and on opportunities for travelers who intend to sojourn in South Africa for a longer period of time.
Ayé náà ti kéré ju èyí tí a rò lọ nítorí náà ìmọ̀ wa ní ìsìlọ̀ àti òfin àgbáyé ṣe wá ní ọ́fíìsì àkókò lórí àwọn ìṣòwò ilé àti ìgbaniláyé láti gba ìwé ìrìnnà fún iṣẹ́ okòwò.
Go MB Chabangu Incorporated reba eleji di notary le basebedisi le di office tsa rena kwa Pretoria, Johannesburg le Bloemfontein. MB Chabangu Incorporated e humanega ga bonolo go bareki ba rena. Go humana tlhagiso leseding ka botlalo re kgopela le re leletše mogala go 012 341 4187 goba le re ngwalele lengwalo tsebile go admin@chabangu.co.za. MB Chabangu Incorporated, mo mathata a humanago tharollo.
Feel the heat.
I love Adam Selman.
The girls are really thin. I think it looks very glamorous from the outside.
The life of a model in New York City.
There is such cool prints. So many.
You know, I'm buying this.
Look at me and all the selfie sort of thing. Honestly, I didn't really know that was actually a job. It just didn't occur to me.
Congratulations.
Feel the excitement. Feel the heat with StarSat.
Good morning. Good morning.
Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality has had no plan.
Now, I believe that my peace is my most valuable asset.
Absolutely beautiful! This is exactly what I was looking for! DJ Khaled!
It is a day to celebrate.
We're ready for action.
I like it when it's nice and soft. Yeah, that is nice.
How was it like growing up in Nigeria? Yes, sir, you know what it is.
Feeling is there that, you're doing something special.
Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
You should just be what you want to be.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
Welcome back again. If you have just joined us, we welcome you to Right on Pan African Morning, broadcasting live in the Republic of South Africa. Before we can go into the top stories that we had for you this morning, let's just go straight into our comments here. We've got a comment from Tapiwa Diamond who says that happy Heritage Day waze wamuhle msakazi wethu. Siyabonga kakhulu. And of course, Omotoso should face the full wrath of the law. The issues of human trafficking are very serious, and an example should be set. And another one from Dumisani Sakile is saying that Mashaba, my president, is referring to the story, of course, that we have spoken about earlier on, whereby Mashaba says that the people that are stuck at the mine should be, removed after 4 years. And Dumisani Sakile still says that, true, the calling for his release are idiots and they are spitting on the face of the masses, especially women. Now, I think he's concurring with Tapiwa when Tapiwa says that the people that have, of course, or rather Omotoso, the people that are calling for Omotoso to be released from prison are rather, not being fair. He is saying that those people must face also the full wrath of the law. As we're going on with the stories, we've given you the news headlines, of course, the stories around around President Cyril Ramaphosa. If we can start with them from the beginning, President Cyril Ramaphosa to deliver the National Heritage Day keynote at 12 o'clock today, and the former President Jacob Zuma launches an attack on Deputy Justice Zondo, and tons of chloroquine illegally imported in South Africa has been distracted. And Christian organization called for Reverend Omotoso's release. And over 300,000 people have fled Mozambique due to hunger. And of course, the Belarus president abruptly sworn in. And these are the stories that we are going to give it to you this very beautiful morning. President Cyril Ramaphosa will today virtually deliver the 2020 National Heritage Keynote Address under the theme Celebrating South Africa's Living Human Treasures. Under this theme, the Living Human Treasures seek to refer to and celebrate the repositories of knowledge and customs as well as traditions. This year's Heritage Month will be dedicated to the living human treasures, namely Dr. Esther Mahlangu, Mama Madosini Latozi Mphahleni, and Mama Oma Katrina Letau. The program will start at 12 midday, and of course we are going to link up to it during Midday Express as part of the celebrations in their honor. The 3 books have been launched and also they will acknowledge efforts of these great women who have distinguished themselves in their chosen field of artistic occupation, putting South Africa on the global map. Throughout the month, the government will also promote South Africa's indigenous knowledge holders who have been producing goods and services within the local communities but have not received deserved national or international acclaim and recognition. The arrest room in connection with the alleged fraud and corruption of the Nqumayathemba municipality in the Eastern Cape. On Tuesday, the East London Hawks visited the municipal offices in search for the documents linked to the alleged 26 million rand fraud. The several companies were awarded tenders for road construction and for designing the community hall between 2017 and 2018, but none of them completed the work despite being paid the money. Former President Jacob Zuma has launched he has launched an attack on Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo after the Head of State Capture Commission made it very clear this week that he expects the former head of state to appear before him before the end of the year 2020. In a statement released on Wednesday, the Jacob G. Zuma Foundation said that Zondo was obsessed with the former head of state and was intent on attacking him and his lawyers. The statement further stated that the Commission's announcement that its lawyers would apply for subpoena that would force former President Jacob Zuma to answer questions on November 16 and 20 was designed to humiliate Zuma and his attorney and was an unjustified and prejudicial matter. It is never too early to teach children about safeguarding themselves against kidnapping. That is according to Bianca van Arsuggen from Missing Children. Van Arsuggen says that parents should also keep an eye on their children's social media activities. She says that parents should also be more vigilant on their surroundings, especially in public spaces and even at home. She added that there is a need to reduce children from as young age, or rather to educate them from a very young age on how to keep themselves safe. Meanwhile, police say that despite worrying voice notes that are circulating around about the increase on the kidnapping of children, they are not seeing any big rise in this type of crime. However, adults kidnapping for ransom is now more in increase.
Child trafficking and human trafficking in general is a huge topic, and obviously it raises a lot of concerns. People are very fearful about the risks of child and human trafficking. But actually, there's a huge gap between what we actually know and what we claim to know. And unfortunately, what has happened is those claims, and most of them are based on sort of exaggerated numbers and myths and a real panic about child trafficking. Those claims have come to stand in for the facts about child trafficking, which then leaves us able to claim that it's escalating and it's widespread and it's a huge problem, when actually it's far more complicated than that, and it's one piece of a much more complicated.
On Wednesday, more than 2 tons of illegally imported chronicle were destroyed by the authorities. It was reported in May that about 20 million rand worth of anti-malarial medicine was slipped through the customs in Johannesburg. The 2.5 ton of chloroquine arrived in South Africa several months ago. The drug was being touted as the opposite, or rather a possible treatment for COVID-19. However, the importer, a company called Balmoral Nos, was not licensed to import the medication. The company director, Dave Andritz, said that told that the South African SA Health Products Regulatory Authority that the drugs were in transit, but the SA Health Products Regulatory Authority rejected these products. The destruction of the medication means that it can no longer make it into the local pharmacy shelves, and the hunt is on for the culprits who either used the fraudulent documents or paid off some custom officials to get the consignment into the country.
Yeah, good afternoon, Jeremy. Well, it was around about May that I'd been given the waybill for the chloroquine consignment. It was 2.6 tons of the stuff, which had made its way through OR Tambo International Airport and had been checked out. And it was based on that we started scratching around. And ultimately, if you recall, if you can go back to that time, we actually were led to the location in Boksburg. It was being held at a security company's facility. They're saying that they claim, the people who had imported, a company by the name of Balmoral Norse, claimed that it was in fact in transit on its way out of the country. But if that was the case, it was supposed to have been in a bonded warehouse still on the premises of the airport. Further investigations linked it to another company, a health services provider, Affinity Health, but that forms part of a broader investigation by SAPRA. But that's the gist of it, is that we had got tipped off that this consignment had come in unlawfully, that there were no papers for it, and SAPRA, through our investigation, were led to this location in Boksburg.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, this type of incident, they happen quite very, very often. Without taking much of your time, of course, now it's time for us to introduce our in-studio guest, Umam Shalom Bata. It's a very great pleasure to have you again, and good morning and warm welcome to Galaxy Universal Network, Mami.
Thank you ever so much to have me back again. It's nice to come here all the time. Thank you.
Yeah, man, we had you only in June, and it's been like 5 months or 4 months since the last time we had you. It's always a pleasure to meet you. Mam Shalo is also an author of a book called Uzulu. Can I please have that book so that I can get a chance, thank you, Ma'am, to show my viewers at home that this book, there are some parts that I like out of this book, you know.
And there's some parts that
I don't like. Maybe before we can get into the book, today we're celebrating a Heritage Day. Of course, it's a Heritage Month, and there's so many things that needs to be celebrated, of course, but I'm not sure, of course, as I would call you a traditionalist mostly. Do you believe that really are we having something to celebrate in terms of our heritage?
I'll answer that question in 2 ways. Just first to remind you and the listeners and the people who are watching us that actually this day is called Usuku lweLembe. That's Zulu for King Shaka Day. This is the day when King Shaka got killed. So before it became Heritage Day, the Zulus were always celebrating this day in remembrance of the mighty king. So actually, people should understand that we have this day because of the Zulu in South Africa today.
Oh, wow.
And secondly, so you know, when people in South Africa say, I'm wearing my traditional clothes,
yes,
they all wear Zulu clothes.
Yes.
Which is for me, there's a plus and a minus, because other people then forget to, to wear their traditional clothes. So
yes.
There's this common understanding that when I'm wearing traditional clothes, it's always the Zulu gear, which is colorful like you, very beautiful, you know.
I'm also very shocked that, because you are always wearing your Zulu traditional clothes, not on Heritage Day, every day of your life. So I'm quite amazed today. Okay, let's address that. What happened today? Because you're always wearing your heritage.
I'm mourning the death of King Shaka.
How?
Yes, I am. He got killed on this day, so I'm in mourning.
Not isdwaba manje uvela ushaya umdindi nje na ushaya ingoma lana usho ukuthi cha, Mama, there's so many things, of course, that we have in the past spoken about. I mean, maybe today we can go deeper, because I didn't know. I would really love to know a little bit about this day in terms of that we are celebrating the day in which King Shaka, His Royal Majesty, was killed today. Maybe for people who do not have a little bit of history there, can you maybe, ingest some information on that, on just that day, on what aspired that very day?
Well, King Shaka is important because he did not only influence and create the great Zulu nation, which is today.
Yes.
He had his way of life and philosophy going all over the subcontinent,
yes.
And that's why you find Zulus as far as, in Kenya, in Uganda, in Mozambique, in, Tanzania, and they call themselves the Nguni, and others call themselves the Chaka. It's all
yes.
Based from his vision, because his soldiers went as far as that, and they conquered,
Yes.
And, he was murdered by his brothers, which was the norm those days. If you wanted power, you needed to get rid of somebody so you can assume power. So it was not something untoward. I mean, King Henry in England, all these other people, they did that. It was a very sad day, but I guess we all have a day when a checkout day. And the way we're going to go is always there, And number two, but what is the most important about him, he was a military genius.
Yes.
And even his tactics of war are still being taught in military academies all over the world, in Sandhurst, in West Point, in Russia, in China, even our military college. His tactics, the pincer movement, where you've got the horns, the head, the chest, and all the tactical fighting. He was just out of this world, And also, as far as Zulu is concerned, King Shaka is revered as Jesus Christ, because the things he did, and he was beyond reproach in the way he looked after the nation, and the way he carried himself, and the discipline that he instilled on people to say you must love your neighbor, you must love yourself, cleanliness, punctuality, and just to be there for the common people, especially the weak and the women, So he was truly, truly an amazing person.
Wow. It's just amazing just to sit here and actually, get to learn more about King Shaka. Now, we are going to start here because I understand that as today is a Heritage Day, a lot of people would want to know more about some of our traditions and the way we're doing things. And of course, some of the things that you have also that are contained in your book would want to talk about it. Now let's look into a very simple matter whereby a person just decides to say, you know what, I am Zulu, yes, but I think I'm more fascinated about the Tswana way of doing things. How is that? Is it a problem if I can just adopt Tswana culture to behave and do things as a Zulu person? Does it have any issue at all? Not just in dressing style, but even the way of living. Everything that I do now, I practice my traditions the Tswana way. Even when I dance the Tswana way. If I want to speak to my ancestors, I perform that particular way, the way that the Tswanas do. Will that be a problem?
Yes and no. Yes, first, because remember, you come from somewhere. you've got ancestors, the ones that came before you.
Yes.
And they have a particular culture that they
yes.
practiced.
Yes.
But more than anything, you are their DNA.
Yes.
So if you then practice a culture of another nation,
yes,
it will be alien to them. For me, as far as I'm concerned, I think culture is a way of life.
Yes.
And therefore, if I'm Zulu and I start practicing the Tswana culture, I don't understand or have a deeper understanding why would they do things the way they do.
Yes.
For instance, the most important thing for me in your culture is being able to communicate with your ancestors. Now, if you start communicating with your Zulu ancestors in the Tswana way, I don't think they'll hear you. That is just my thinking.
So let's say I'm speaking Zulu to them, but I'm doing Tswana
things.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be confusing. Maybe they'll finally hear you. But let's be concrete, right? For the Zulu, when you speak with the ancestors, you burn impepo, okay? Now, that is your network, okay?
Yes.
To connect with them.
Yes.
Now, if the Tswana don't use impepo, I doubt if they'll hear you. Do you understand what I'm saying? If they use, other people use tobacco, crushed, dry crushed tobacco.
Yes.
But if your particular group uses impepo,
yes,
the incense,
yes,
they won't hear you. So I think it's a bit tricky.
Yes.
I don't think they'll care much or worry too much how you're dressed.
Yes.
Okay? But again, it depends what age you are, because your dress also in the traditional way also tells a story. The colors you are wearing, the type of garb, the way your beads are seated and knitted together.
Yes.
And whether ugqoka isitwaba or you are not wearing isitwaba, if you've got this collar or not, it's a story. So as you walk, people can actually see your status in society.
Yes.
Now, if you are wearing Tswana things, I don't think people can decipher.
Yes.
That's why I'm saying yes and no.
Yes.
But if that makes you happy, I'm sure you can do it. But when you now talk to the ancestors, maybe you can then revert to what they know. Don't you agree?
No, kinda. Yeah, kinda agree. Now let's say because we are living in a very democratic country where a lot of people, we are free to marry in different groups. We're free to marry in different cultures and tradition and stuff like that. So let's say now I'm a Zulu of South African descent, and I want to be married to a Nigerian of Igbo descent, and they do their own thing there. And now, do you think that if the Igbos don't practice what Zulus practice traditionally, maybe they don't slaughter because a lot of people, they praise God now, they're saying, Jesus doesn't agree to such type of behavior if you are a true Ikolwa, and now you have to be busy slaughtering and doing all these other things. How do we try and put these things together, making sure that as much as I am Zulu, I'm not really 100% losing who I am, or it's a matter of no, once I get married to the Nigerian, as we understand as Zulus, once I get married, I am no longer, we slaughter to take me out of that family, right? Now I am no longer a Zulu, I am now Igbo, because now I am married to the Igbos.
No,
is that not the case?
No. See, when you get married, the final hour ring in the Zulu culture is when they pour
inyongo
on you of your husband, and he does it to you. You are telling your ancestors, both ancestors, to say, this is our makoti, and this is our mkwenyan.
Yes.
Okay? Just very quickly. Even if you guys divorce, the ancestors never divorced. Do you know that?
Oh, so we must go back and spill another nyongo.
No, it's not working. It's only one way. It's only one way. However, so what happens is that when you go to the Igbo family, you don't lose yourself. You'll always remain makumete among the Igbo family. It's a new thing that you must take on your husband's surname. You don't lose your identity. But your Zuluness, you take it to your marriage, right? And you learn the things of your husband. But you don't stop you. The children that you have, you then teach them of the husband's ways of doing things. However, you also teach them how you do your things from where you are coming from. So there's no point in the Zulu system whereby people mesh and become one. Never. You always stay separate, but together.
So this thing is so, okay, what exactly is the significance of Inyongo, really, if it doesn't necessarily translate to the fact that I have to be going. And in fact, let's maybe go down to this question of Inyongo. Why Inyongo? Why don't you take Igazdentliziyo that symbolizes love? Who said kumele kube yibhayili?
You see, it's one of the things I'm still trying to unpack. I'm very fascinated by that myself. And I haven't got an answer that's very satisfactory for me. I haven't got it yet. But I know Inyongo is the one. Okay? I just know Inyongo, and I'll come back to you as soon as I find out. Okay? Yes. However, you see, remember in the olden days when people got married?
Yes.
In Zulu, it is said, uyovusa umuzi. It means you're increasing the family of where you're going to get married. Remember I told you last time that when you've got grandchildren with your husband, you're allowed in Zulu to go back home. You can retire from a marriage.
Yes.
You're not divorcing. You just go back home. You have done your piece.
Yes.
You've done what you needed to do in this family. You say, goodbye, I'm now going back home, right? Now, it shows that you never lose your identity.
Also, I remember we had a discussion of retiring from,
marriage,
from the marriage, which is not a divorce.
Yes.
So, yes, today is today. Well, let's start here because we have, I've got this, maybe let me ask you this question before I forget it. Okay. We have had a lot of, books that were written about the Zulu traditions and stuff like that. And, the historical background of our being as maybe Africans is being carried from one generation to the other. But most of the cases, we didn't get to write down most of the things like the whites did. So most of our, history is being transferred on the word of mouth from one person to the other. We all know what happens when I tell you a message now and say, now you take the message, Mashalo, uyinikeza Otono give it to Ngobani. Before you know, this message will be distorted one way or the other. How sure are we that we are still consuming the true African traditions that were there hundreds of years ago? Or this message is now diluted with some things somewhere along the way?
Trust me, it's real. Trust me, nothing has been short-circuited anywhere.
Okay.
On the other hand, how do we know that what the white people wrote is the truth?
Oh, yeah.
Okay? This of what the people say, remember, it's not only transmitted by word of mouth. It's through dance. It's through music. Like I said earlier, even through dress. If you wear particular dress and color coding, then people can tell what the story is. So it's from word to mouth. And remember when people are seated at home and they chat, as a child, they start telling you, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. You understand? As you grow older, you may get reasons why if you're curious, but
yes,
it cannot be all diluted, because had it been all diluted, we would have no culture to talk about.
Yes.
However, culture also changes. Let me give an example. Back in the day when people got married, they used fruit, okay? Or in part of the ceremony. Today they don't use fruit anymore. They use sweets. Can you see it's more symbolism? But that act still gets done. But it's the symbolism, you know? Like example, some people really fret about ilobolo and cows. In the beginning, it used to be
actual income.
Okay? But now people substitute that to money, because maybe they have no place where they can keep their cows. And can you see? In other words, it's more symbolism. But by the way, before Shepstone, who used to be a governor for Natal, before he said people must offer the family 15 cows.
Yes.
Prior to that, the family that's getting married to the girl, they'd offer whatever they wanted. There was no limit of 15 cows or 11 cows, okay? You could even give them bangles. You could give them, a gift of any sort that you treasured. And the purpose was, we thank you that you raised this young lady who's now going to become a wife in our family. Do you understand? So there was no monetary value of how much should be offered to the family. Do you understand? It is only Shepstone who decided, I'm going to put so many cows. But there's whatever you do, right? In the 15 cows or 11 cows, or it was a gift, whether it's bangles, whether it's food, or it's anything that you like, it's kumba, anything that you like. there's always one item. It's called for the mother.
Yes.
And the mother gets a special gift because she's
Yes.
the one who gave birth to the child.
Yes.
Over the years, that hasn't changed.
Yes. You just said that, you know, Ilobolo was never, you know, a specific amount of maybe cows, a specific amount of gifted. So why did we then tell a white person to come in and tell us what do we do? Because nowadays people are worried when they have to get married to a Zulu person. They're like, oh my word, Zulus are so expensive. But if this was not the case initially.
Remember, when white people came and conquered us, they did what they liked with our lives. They also interfered in our culture and put in wrong things like Ilobolo is 15 or 11 cows. But at that time, it was under duress. They had conquered us, we must admit that. So it is only now that is slowly changing to say actually what happened in the past. Because I mean, I don't know if you had recently, His Majesty even said that a lot of young girls are not able to be married because the guy said, I don't have the money. He says, but whoever said you must listen to what the white person said, that you must pay so many cows. You know, we really have to try and go back to what was working before, because the idea of a female not getting married was not part of the deal. You know, it's like, but you're not forced to get married, but if you wanted to, surely there's always somebody who's able to get married to you.
Of course, of course. Now, we touched on this issue earlier on and then we left it. I want us to know, maybe first, you spoke about the possibility, not a possibility, but a tradition whereby a woman, after a certain time in life, you can choose to go home and say, I'm retiring from my marriage. I'm no longer feeling that maybe I'm adding value physically, so now it's time for me to go home and rest. And maybe you are the one who's going to solicitate another wife to come on duty to be married while you're going home. If you die, do you get buried back at your husband's house, or they bury you at your father's house where you retired to?
No, you get buried at your in-laws.
Wow. So tell us more about this retirement from the marriage.
It's very simple. Remember, you came to the family usually in your 20s. You lived here, you have the children, and you're part of the family. Like I said, then you have your grandchildren. Okay? And as a woman, there's come a time in your life when you are tired from everything.
Yes.
And you want to give up certain aspects of wifehood.
Yes.
Okay? So what do? You then either get your husband, another younger lady, to say, look, please take care of my husband. Mina, I'm out of here. Okay? If you need me, you know where to find me. But you tell the young lady if she's happy.
Why won't you stay here and have this young makoti?
No. I said it's an option. You can still get a makoti for your wife and you're still staying in the same household. I mean, our famous family that is in a polygamous relationship is the former president. His first wife was Makumal. She's still there, and the other wives that came, they all came to the same homestead. There's nothing different about that. They don't have to live in another place. You can live in this whole huge, big homestead and live happily ever after. And the kids grow up together, and you help one another. If you're sick, I take care of your kids and stuff like that. And you also conspire against your husband, all of you. If he's out of order, if he wants to go and get another wife that you don't like.
It is the top of the hour, of course. We're going to just go shortly into the news. Action SA President Herman Mashaba says that he will reveal more major findings in the Lily Mine case. In January this year, Mashaba announced that he will pursue legal action to force the Department of Mineral Energy and to retrieve their container with remains of trapped Lily Mine workers for more than 4 years by now. Briefing the media on Wednesday, Mashaba said that it is disturbing that the rescue mission was put on hold and never resumed again. He added that authorities have been casual about the case and that that alone is very disappointing.
After 4 years of asking, petitioning and pleading for the support of the government, the former miners and families at Lily Mine were treated with total disdain. Furthermore, despite the findings of DMRE report, the efforts to open a criminal case against mine management were resisted. However, they eventually filed the case number /1/4/2019 in 2019. Despite the fact that a death on duty in any mining environment is a matter of law, should have triggered a police investigation. And swift action by the Department of Labor, who are responsible for the regulation of health and safety standards in the workplace. Their silence is deafening. Not to mention, ladies and gentlemen, the outrage from the labor unions of our country. Just last week, the NPA met with the former miners and affected families to ask if they wanted to lay criminal charges, demonstrating just how casually this case has been.
Yeah, we are still right here on Pan-African Morning, broadcasting live in the Republic of South Africa. We're still, of course, having a conversation with Umamushalo Mbatha, who's an author of the book uZulu, Umlando Nobuqhawe Bukazulu. Speaking about Umlando Nobuqhawe Bukazulu, we did speak earlier on. I asked a question about, the transferring of information, the transmission of information, to say that Umlando Ola, don't we get it lost somewhere along the way, because I'm sure today, for me, it's the first time today I'm even hearing the fact that Zulus did not have a set amount of lobola that needs to be paid, that it was somebody. I always thought that this is how the traditions need to work. So this is type of information that I think that it is lost along the way. Now, how are we sure that there are not a lot more things that were adopted by the white men and imposed in our lives so that we can continue behaving like that, believing that, this is how Zulus behave?
You see, one of the other aspects of the transmission of knowledge,
yes,
is done, like I said, it's done through song, by metaphors, but importantly, we've got the imbongi,
yes,
the laudatory recital poets,
yes,
right? They're the ones who are the historians,
yes,
in their community. Every community those days used to have somebody who's got the knowledge and the history,
yes,
of not only the family but of the neighborhood as well.
Yes.
So now what you'll do when you have all of them put together, the
yes,
story becomes one long narrative.
Yes.
For instance, the history of the Zulu kings, in particular, is told through their praises. Every sentence is explaining what happened. And it's something I found out when I was doing the research for the book, to say there is no aspect of their life that gets lost. So even if you go to your own family, if I went to the Mbathas, there is somebody who is the historian of the clan or of the kingdom of the Mbathas, to say this person is the one who knows everything, what happened, who gave birth to who, and what happened.
Yes.
In that way, that information then stays. We like saying the Zulu is a nation, right? But remember, under the Zulu, there's a whole lot of different surnames, okay? Now, the Kumalos, for instance, will bear it differently, okay, from the Mkunus. And the Mkunus will bear it differently to the Eles. You understand?
Yes.
How do you know this? Because everybody is a custodian of their own story.
Yes.
But there's a whole lot of things that are similar, that they share together. And it's King Shaka who put that into action. He said, when he defeated your kingdom, he'll say, tell me, how do you guys live? Oh, I like that aspect. All the Zulus must now do it. Do you understand? He took the best of everybody's culture. And he said, this is now going to make the general or generic Zulu culture.
Okay, so I want to know, before we have spoken about, the issue of women having to have more than one a partner, and a lot of people asked me after the show, and I couldn't really properly articulate that part. Can you maybe elaborate? In our African tradition, we know that polygamy is only on men. Men are the only ones allowed to have more than one partner, so that it's an aim of growing the family. Now, you told us here on Galaxy that no. It is fundamental for a woman to have another partner despite that you're married. That's cheating. And you are saying to me it is not cheating. Please tell us, why must I cheat, man, Jenji?
Okay. You're holding me accountable.
Yes, of course.
Okay, it's fine.
You said as Zulus, we must. Not as Zulus. Like you said, all women. It is important for a woman to have another partner in a marriage. or in a relationship, even if it's not the marriage, in a relationship. So I'm not sure if this is a tradition or it's some naughty advice from Umam Shal.
It's like this. No, it's not a naughty advice. It's a fact of life. Remember I said,
okay,
when you meet, you have your boyfriend.
Yes.
Chances are you're not the only girlfriend. Okay? Chances are when you meet with him, he's not hanging in a tree alone. There are others. But then he chooses you to marry you. It doesn't mean he hates the others, does it?
Yes. No,
okay?
No.
It doesn't hate them.
Yes.
She's just the lucky one that he got married to, right?
Okay.
But before we get, as a young girl, as you're growing up, the Zulu culture allowed you to have more than one boyfriend at a time.
How? I didn't know.
Yes. But what happened?
Oh,
listen. We mystify things. We make life very complicated when it's very simple. Okay? And the restrictiveness and the complication of issues, that's why people end up using words like cheating. Okay? The Zulu have got songs saying, my girlfriend is going out with somebody who's not worth being a boyfriend to. It's part of the culture. It's part of the songs and the metaphors and proverbs. Did you hear that? Now, I'm saying I'm not making this stuff up. Because the men understand that if you're a beautiful woman, somebody's going to hit on you. Okay?
But does this mean that you need to, how about, what we call morals? Zulus are one very, very strong culture on morals.
Do not let, it depends where you are looking when you talk about morality. On whose terms, whose moralities are that? And is there anything detrimental to what you're doing? Remember, the culture says, let's start from the beginning.
Yes.
You're allowed to have a maximum of 4 boyfriends.
Ha!
4 boyfriends. But listen up. The issue is, hold on, no, 4. The issue is that, remember, but when you have, is it TV for kids or is the family listening? I must choose my words very carefully.
Yeah,
okay.
Somewhat,
Yes, okay, listen. So now, it means when you're intimate with your boyfriend.
Yes.
You can only be intimate with one boy. You can't have 4 boys in 1 month.
At the same time.
1 month is 1 month. And even then, it's non-penetrative.
Okay.
Do you understand? It's not penetrative.
Okay.
Because the idea that you must get married being a virgin.
Oh, yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So it's just having fun.
Yes.
Without, going all the way.
Yes.
Okay? Now, they say you do that because if you have time with these 4 guys, you end up being an expert in what you're doing. Because everybody does things differently. So by the time you meet your husband, you're not going to bore him.
Oh, so you are in training.
You see, now you get me.
You are in training of
now
I lost out more.
Number 1. Number 2, when you get married, your husband is still looking. Remember? Men never stop looking. Come on.
Never.
They always look. But he understands that other people are also looking at you. So if that means he mustn't catch you. That is why the Zulu even have a word called ishende. It's your secret lover of a married woman. Now, if your husband catches you with your secret lover, they say you fall pregnant, right? There's drama. Whoops, you got caught. They take you, and if they're kids, they send you back home for 3 months, right? Because you've caused a scandal.
Yes.
As soon as they've taken you home, the family of the guy, they sit the guy down and say, okay, what happened? No, I found her cheating or she was caught cheating. And the family blames the guy, not you. Because if he was having fun properly with you, you won't look at another man. Bomropa. Do you understand? They'll say, what? It's your fault. If you're doing your job properly, she won't look at somebody. We feel sorry for her. Then after 3 months, they bring you back. Right? Or your job, when you come back here, you slaughter a goat to say sorry, you got caught. You're not sorry. I what you did it. It's what you just got caught. Okay?
Oh, sorry, I got
And then the
caught.
family of the guy apologizes to you. The women call you to your room and apologize.
To say
what's his problem? You understand? Now, the job of a guy is to make sure you don't look at another guy, your husband.
Oh,
Magalati side, it's his fault.
Now I see
you
where
get
this
it.
thing comes from. So you start when you are still dating. So you start with these 4 guys.
Yes. If you want.
Yes, a maximum. You said the maximum is 4, right? So you start with these 4 guys, and then of
You
course
perfect the art.
Yes, you are in a training session here.
Yes.
So when you are training, you're also in a selection mode. where
Yes.
You have to choose the right one, right? So in nowadays, of course, it's very, very rare that people will get into a relationship and not want to go all the way, right? So they will have all these 4 guys and maybe try to experiment with all 4 guys. In these days, full of HIV and AIDS, in the days full of a lot of STDs and everything, how safe are we to still want to practice our cultural being?
Nobody said you should. Nobody's forcing you. It's your choice. That is why it was not penetrative.
Then maybe that is why we see a lot of marriages nowadays not working as compared to marriages
Before.
years back. Isn't it maybe because of people don't have enough time to check through the map? Would see, yeah,
Which one? This one works, this doesn't work.
Exactly.
Look, we may make it as a joke, but if you think quietly about it, it actually makes sense.
Yeah.
And remember, marriage is not only based on that act. There's a whole lot of things that you must take into account.
Yes.
And also the pressure that society is putting on couples.
Yes.
That it just does one-on-one. It's
Yes.
too much pressure for the poor guy. Because he sees other women, right?
Yes.
Similarly, the sister also sees other guys. There's too much pressure. You get it? But if it's understood, like I'm saying, in the Zulu culture, if your husband lives home, when he comes home, he's not allowed to come without telling you that I'm coming back on Tuesday, 10 o'clock. Because he doesn't want to meet anybody who's visiting. Maybe he's not supposed to be there.
Yes.
It's understood. Do you understand? So I'm saying it's very, very practical in that way.
Yes.
That is why even the elements or spaces to fight and disagree get minimized because everybody knows how they're supposed to behave.
So what happens when maybe I want to choose to stay with one guy, you know, as it is my own choice, I choose to stay one, because somehow these things are a little bit very much confusing along the way. We've got this thing of a woman knowing one man from the day you are married, because the Zulu tradition and the cultures, it's saying that you must be married a virgin, and that is why there is a cow called Inkomo Mama, which represents your virginity.
Right.
So now, if now I have to maybe to make a choice to say, okay, now out of this, maybe there is this particular guy that wants to marry me. So it is not really a sign of purity to say you are pure, you are innocent and stuff like that. It's just clearly that you are not penetrated, if I could use that word.
But remember, this is what culture allows. What an individual decides to do is up to you. Not everybody would have the 4 boyfriends, you understand? Other women chose not to get married at all. And we don't even have a word in Zulu for a spinster. Because in English it's a very negative, or in Sesotho they call it lefetwa. We don't have that in Zulu because you choose not to get married, it's your choice. You are not forced to go into a relationship or forced to be married. Do you understand? So there's a lot of latitude and freedom that the women enjoy with their own bodies. You understand? So there is no pressure, okay? The cow that you're talking about is called Mkoliso because it's not only that you're a virgin, it's because you gave birth to this one particular person. Do you understand? And it is to thank her because had you not given birth to the child, it means you'd have never had a wife that was going to increase our family and stuff like that. So, but remember, nothing is cast in stone. You know the general rules and you choose what works for you.
Yes. Hi, this is a very touchy one. Now let's come into a dressing code. A lot of people, you know, you find young girls, somebody who hasn't, even now, there are people that are designing isiqholo for babies. You know, you find the tradition where babies wear isiqholo. They create smaller nyana isiqholos that fit into that. And people do not know that wearing isiqholo symbolizes something. Wearing isidwaba as opposed to something else symbolizes something. And all the time, we find people just wearing it as a form of fashion, you know. And for a Zulu person like myself, if I see a woman wearing isiqholo, to me it represented she's a married woman. And then on the other hand, I'm like, how? But You can't be married.
Yes.
Can you maybe explain to us, maybe taking it from the top to say, if you are married or you are not married, what type of clothing that you need to wear? Because even for the guys as well, there are different types of clothing that they need to wear to symbolize, to tell the story on who they are and where where are they in life at this moment?
You know, I think I'm feeling very bad. I hope my professor is not watching this. I'm currently busy with my PhD, and one of the things I'm looking to, it is a Zulu dress.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm looking at the women and the role they played in the creation of the Zulu Empire.
Yes.
So one of the things that I'm looking at is the dress.
Yes.
Okay? For instance, the white symbolizes you're a virgin, right? The blue symbolizes one thing or the other. All those colors put together, they tell a story.
Yes.
No uku. You know that white bead?
Uku, yes.
Yeah, when somebody wants to,
yes.
you give him that. So, iskolo, again, it symbolizes, it's a particular shape and size, it symbolizes one thing, to say, now, I'm available to be married by somebody. Or you can look, but I'm already committed to somebody else. I'm engaged. Do you know, it tells all those stories. I just don't have the colors off the top of my head. Had you told me, I would have come and look very smart with all the answers you need. Yes. But yes, it's true. And next to Abba, you only wear it because now you are getting married, you are going to be somebody's wife, and you never ever take it off, except when you're going to sleep.
Yes.
You know? And also, the bangles, everything that you wear, tell a story.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And obviously, I don't know if you've noticed that if you're wearing the Zulu garb as a female, you even develop a particular very, very sexy walk. It's actually, very alluring.
That's very
true. It's very alluring.
You just can't walk in jail.
You see, you sashay, you sashay,
exactly.
So yeah, the dress is an amazing part of a femininity and a female to show who they are. And for me, it's nice when you meet somebody. Today, because we don't dress like that anymore, a guy, you need to tell, no, sorry, I'm married. No, sorry, I'm engaged. But in olden days, they will say, oh, okay, wow,
they will see by the way you dress that you are no longer available.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
But even then, it's allowed also to steal somebody from their husband. You know that, right?
Oh, to steal somebody from
to say, listen, I know you're married, but I want to marry you. Then if you like the guy, he goes and pays lobola to your husband and returns the lobola and pays for the lobola for you. Yes, you're allowed.
This is getting very out of hand now.
No. You divorce. Today it's called divorce, right?
Yeah, but Angithi, like, don't you divorce because of maybe some other
problem? No, you just saw somebody that you like better, and then they come to your husband's people and say, "We'd like to marry her. Please, can we have her?" I'm serious. This stuff just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Not that you fought. You as a female, you think, I think I'll be better off in that family.
But now, what happened now? You have got children in this house. You have got all these things. Oh yeah, that's like to intombi kishwe sogeni.
Exactly. Thank you.
As issue, which basically means that you take a woman from another man.
In today's words, right?
It is quite very, it is something that I understand that, of course, it's traditions and stuff like that. And in nowadays, of course, it is not as easy as probably it used to be in the past, because I'm sure that it's not every day where you would find somebody waking up in the morning and say, oh no, I think that guy is better off, I'm better off with that guy. Because in those days, divorce was not as common as we are seeing it in nowadays. So do you think that it is still being practiced the right way? And of course, because of modernity that we are now putting ourselves into, there are a lot of traditions and cultures that we don't even pay attention to. When you divorce, when a next guy pay lobola for you, the lobola still goes home to your parents.
No,
it doesn't.
No, it goes to your husband's
I'm saying
people.
Nowadays,
oh, yeah,
they don't do that. They don't take the lobola to send it back to the guy who initially paid lobola for you.
And they should demand it back. You see, when you look into how life was lived those days,
yes,
and whether this divorce wasn't as common, the concept of divorce doesn't exist in Zulu.
Oh yeah?
What happens if you don't get along with your husband because of telling a young, okay?
Yes.
You remember when you get married, you're not married to the guy only, you're married to the whole family.
The entire family, yes.
So now, you can have differences with him, you are allowed to continue staying here. Because you said you're leaving your home, you're coming here to be the wife here. But if you fight with your husband, you're allowed to continue staying here. And you can marry other people and so on. So the divorce, because divorce means you're going to physically move away, right?
Of course.
But no, you don't in Zulu. You stay there. Because when he took you, he said it's for life and death, right? He said until death do us part.
Yes.
You are not you may not live, like if it's a homestead, ne? You just live maybe on the periphery. But you are still very much part of the family. That is also very good for the raising of the children. Because the children, remember, they never divorce either parent. So they still remain part of the family. And
Yes.
those family ties become very strong.
Yes.
So your difference is between the two of you. And your mother-in-law still regards you as a daughter-in-law. He's not getting involved with you and your husband's madness.
Issues. So now when you go home, if you divorce and go home and get married to another guy, how do you still become the family of the first guy that they...
Because in the Zulu culture, you'll forever belong here. So if you want to marry somebody, you can still go, they won't stop you, but you are still allowed to come here if you want to come and visit them and stuff like that. There's no animosity between the families.
So what happened to the nyongo that they pour you when you get into the next family again? Do we still continue to pour
yes,
you in?
but telling nyongo to introduce you to the ancestors of those people, of the new family.
So you are being introduced to two different families and get inyongos from two different families and be ube nedalwa eziningi from different families.
You said something else. You see, when you introduce me to the ancestors of the other family,
yes,
I'm not part of that family. I still remain Mbata. My ancestors remain the Mbatas. Your people, my husband's people.
Makoti, right?
Yes, yeah, but I'm not. But I'm not related. Yes, but I'm not married to. I'm not related to them. My children are related to them, not me. Do you understand? Makoti always remains from outside. I'm not part. I don't know the other word in English, but I'm married here. But I'm not part of, I'm not a Gumede.
So what happens? What happened? Because in most cases, let's say now, as a Makoti, we are figura Gumede uzoshata. You're getting married to maybe the older brother of this family. Now, let's say umamezala of this home, your mother-in-law passes on. Now you, as the older Makoti, becomes the mother of the entire family. So if you're an outsider, how do you take that position?
Okay. I come here, I get married to the Kumetes.
Yes.
My mother-in-law teaches me the ways of the Kumetes.
Yes.
Because I don't know.
Yes.
Then Gogo passes away.
Yes.
Remember? I then now know everything that needs to happen with the Kumetes.
Yes.
I'm forever a Makoti. I'll forever be called Mambata. I will never be called Makumet. But I'll know everything about how the Kumetes do their things. And my responsibility to teach all the children here at home that this is how we do things. Even my daughters, which are got here, when they go and marry, they'll forever be Kumetes. Do you understand? As a female, you never lose your identity. It never gets merged with other identities. I mean, your ancestors or other families. You'll forever have a special place. That is why...
Why do we change surnames?
You shouldn't. It's a white thing to change your surname. You know that. It's a white thing to change your surname. You go to any household, you say, Ubani lo. You say, no, Umakumeto lo. Go to like Agwasbego. They never say, Mrs. Sbego.
Why do they say now, now because we are getting married today, I'll say nguye, walaikai. They even, traditionally, they break your plate that you eat, they take you out of your house on a kist, which is representing a coffin, to say, in this home, you don't have a plate anymore. In this home, uyofela emendweni in Zulu, you will die at your in-laws. Now, you are a stranger. You literally, does it mean that your family is just literally just throwing you away because you don't belong here? You don't belong there either.
Just remember what I said. You never lose your identity. Those things are symbolic to say you now belong to another family. Okay, the kist came with white people. It's a new thing. And why would you associate marriage with death? Remember, marriage is a thing that produces more other human beings. Do you understand? All these things are new that have no basis in our culture, okay? When you go, we do not imagine that you chose this guy to be my wife of this guy. What is on earth that can make you change, not want to be his wife anymore? Because there are certain rules and regulations that you both must adhere to as man and wife. paramount is respect. Now, if you respect somebody, there's a whole lot of things that you'll never do that will bring you guys to fight.
So can we bluntly say that the modernity of life has 100% diluted our traditions and our culture to make it unreliable? Because if we are saying that the kist has no use and has no history in our African traditional way of doing things, and in nowadays it has become the pivotal part of each and every marriage. There are marriages that stop to say umakoti akaphumi la ekhaya ikist ingekho.
Why do you think there's so much divorce? Nobody stops to think, why am I doing this? Do you understand? What is the value? Think before white people came, okay? They kissed. Do you think, do we ever have a thing called, a solid thing that was putting things inside? No, people would give you gifts of amakansi, blah, 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 household goods.
Yes.
So that's when you get to your new home, these are your little gifts that you have.
Yes.
But today people are they pick and choose what they like in culture. And then they claim it's Zulu culture or any other culture. They pick and choose. Okay? In the past, you couldn't pick and choose. That is why there's confusion. Do you understand? That is why there's confusion. Like, if you divorce today, now I'm going to change my surname to, I'm now Mrs. Gomede. Right? And I divorce, now I'm Miss Mbata. There's too much traffic. I'm Miss Mambata forever. Do you get it? So even when people you don't get mistaken, they still call you Nitagazelo Zagin, Zagwakumet. Never ever for Kwasibego if you are married Kwasibego. You are not part of them. You get it? We are Remakot, you have come. I always try to say, how's the best way of saying that in English? To ensure that the family grows.
Yes.
That's your job.
Yes.
As a makoti.
Yes.
There's certain things that when they do certain rituals in the family, you can't be part of that because you don't have a Sibego blood in you. You've got a Kumede blood. It's your children that have got Sibego blood.
Okay, there's quite a lot of, misunderstanding in our cultures and our tradition that I find. And I think that probably our modern way of doing things has got a huge interference in the way that we can do things. So how can we now teach this Zulu traditions and stuff like that? Because a lot of people are being robbed, especially when it comes to lobola and stuff like that, and to say that, it's either these cows or nothing. Young men want to get married, but they can't get married because it's very expensive for them. And then we have made it as traditions, we have made it as cultural. And it's not that maybe the nowadays young generation do not know about it. They know it through what we've been fed as time gone. How do we fix this?
My spending time in the kingdom of the Zulu gives me a lot of hope.
Yes.
Because this information is available to them, okay? It's whether people are going to practice it or not.
Yes.
Number two, the fact that I found that information, it means it's still there. It's not getting lost.
Yes.
It's people making up their minds to say, I want to do it the old way.
Yes.
You've got the reed dance, for Virgin reed dance in September.
Yes.
These are some of the things where the girls get taught how to behave and stuff like that.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So the tradition is still going on.
Yes.
Umemulo.
Yes.
It's the equivalent of a 21st party.
Yes.
Okay? Even then, there are certain things that happen. Is to teach you how to be a good mother, to be a good wife, to be a good female, and so on.
Yes.
So those traditions haven't died.
Yes.
So it is only when it suits people financially, they'll turn a blind eye and say, I want those 15 cows.
So is it not possible that maybe we can start now and teaching this type of things to our young people?
Absolutely.
And maybe teaching this history at schools and stuff like that, because this information is out there. If you go on Google, for an example, and Google Lobola, the information that we know today, this is what you're going to find.
I know.
You are never going to find a lobola to say that, oh no, there was no put number of cows you need to put in there.
That is why I wrote the book. That's why I did it. Because I realized that the information is available. I didn't make anything up. I just put it together because nobody took time out to do what I've done. So this book is very important when it comes to that.
Yes.
Because I've put it in all in one place.
Yes.
So that people can have access to it.
Yes.
If it didn't exist, I wouldn't be able to find it.
Yes.
But the people who are typing on Google I don't know who those faceless people, I don't know who their sources are. Because they, in other cultures, they get it right. But when it comes to African cultures, they write what they like. But it's our responsibilities as Africans to ensure that Google puts up the truth. But how you get to that process, I thought, I'll choose my space.
Yes.
My space was to write the book so that it's forever available.
Yes.
And then hoping that somebody out there will want to say, no, look, Google, we're taking you on, or whoever, sources of information, people that will transmit the information, you say, stop transmitting information that's incorrect.
Yes.
Because, you know, that's a very huge machine that does that.
Yes, yes, yes. No, for sure. We are going to take a very short break. When we're coming back, we've got new news and updates for you. We're still sitting on a green couch with Umasha Lombata, who's an author of this book called Uzulu. Stay with us.
Tech Talk brought to you by Tamani Technologies and Systems. Tamani Technologies and Systems takes leadership in fourth industrial revolution. The whole world is facing a transformation. The revolution will be developed into the following stages: digitization, cyber security, Internet of Things, managed services, document management, and business applications. We provide business transformation and ICT solutions with presence in 13 African countries and 2 European countries. We are your leading partner in integrated platform providers, innovation leaders, standalone products, and innovation pace setters. Tamani Technologies and Systems, delivering value across continents.
Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Now, I believe that my peace is my most valuable asset.
Absolutely beautiful! This is exactly what I was looking for! DJ Khaled!
It is a day to celebrate.
We're ready for action. I like it when it's nice and soft. Yeah, that is nice.
How was it like growing up in Nigeria? Yes, sir, you know what it is.
Feeling is there that, you're doing something special.
Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
You should just be what you want to be.
Experience the extraordinary with
Welcome back again. If you have just joined us, we welcome you. We're still right here on Pan African Morning. Of course, we are on the green couch with Umasha Lombata, who is, of course, an author. And actually, I forgot to mention to you that she's also a history lecturer at University of KwaZulu-Natal. I am going to, of course, talk Zululand, rather. I'm going to speak to her about that. We are going to get into that. But before we get into that, let's just go through the comments here. I've got a comment from Upego Mlotshwa Gama. Upego Nkululeko athi, oh no, my sister, the culture, we cannot just forget about it now. My woman can't have another man while she's with me. Kunezifo ngempela manje nesithunzi nje sendoda must be protected. Uzongihlekisa ngabantu. Udoli Khumalo ati, but men always give liberty to look forever, but not women. Women bear the brunt of being unfaithful when men get scot-free. And of course, there is Unomtandazo. Unomtandazo says, hey, Mamshalo Mbatha, this multiplicity of relationship is complicated. And of course, I think I agree with her there. And she also says that the kist is a Western culture. I actually did not link the kist to a coffin. Oh, yeah, it is, Nomtandazo. And Kabayanga Derek says that our culture and heritage matter, but globalization, that's to say global village, has greatly caused the fading away of our culture. Hashtag visit Uganda. Hashtag to Uganda. Derek, we are going to visit Uganda again to see what is happening culturally in that beautiful country. Now, Yaga Museveni akadlala Uganda. Siyamsaba wena. Siyamsaba very much Museveni that side. You know, Museveni even fights people when they sing songs that he doesn't like. You get to be in serious problem. As we continue with our conversation, Mamshalo, you are, of course, a historian, as I said earlier. Now you are teaching that at UniZulu, the history of our people. How important it is that people get to learn our African tradition? How is it important that we get to learn our African history?
Without our history, we're nobody. We don't know what we're doing. We'll end up paying 15 cows and use the word paying instead of saying we're offering a thankful gift that I'm getting a wife. We'll end up talking about kists and relate them to death. We'll end up getting married in white dresses when we're not sure what that whiteness resembles. However, our history is very important because there is no nation on earth that has ever succeeded if they don't know who they are. Yes. I think I'm awfully blessed to have an opportunity to teach my undergrads. In one class, I have 300 of future historians. And I'm very proud and I'm very thankful that we've, in just one class alone, there are 300. So when I walk into class, I tell them, you don't know you belong to the future. Luckily, the government has made it their business that history is now going to be taught as a compulsory subject.
Yes, it must
in 2 or 3 years' time.
Yes.
So we're going to need thousands of history teachers.
Yes.
That is going to tell our story correctly, not from a Eurocentric point of view or how somebody is looking at us. So my book was just an attempt way back, I didn't know this was going to happen, to say this is how the Zulu see themselves. And it's very important that the other nation groups write their own stories from their perspective. But therefore the future is solid, the future looks great. And I'm sure in 20 years' time, whoever will be sitting on this couch will be telling a totally different story. They're looking back and said, we don't know how those people did that, but here is the truth. So it is an amazing thing to see young people, especially, who should not be doing, who should be doing other things. They'll tell you, I want to be a historian. And I'm like, no, I just want to adopt all of you, you know? But it's very, very important, Now,
there's a comment here. A gentleman is saying that, no, what you are saying to say that a woman can actually look outside of her marriage for another person while she is still married cannot happen. He cannot allow that to happen simply because what will the world say? What would people say? Of course, which contradicts what we were saying, that this is tradition. So people should not be saying anything because it's something that they know. But I think the important part here that we might be missing is the discrete part of it.
Exactly. I was going to say that. Even the guys, they sneak around, they call their girlfriends ama mistress, umakhwapheni, all sorts of names, because they're not doing it in the open. Now, whether you know it or you don't know it, possibly either your wife or your husband is creeping. You'll never know. The whole point is that they're creeping, but you don't know. So what you don't know doesn't hurt you, right? So I'm saying they mustn't take it too personal. He knows he's doing the right thing by his wife. The wife won't look at anybody. Okay, because he knows it's good.
Yes.
Okay, so he mustn't worry about that.
There is another comment, of course. Okay, there's who's this Brazalo? He says King Shaka came into power by coup d'etat. He lost power by coup d'etat. What do we have to say about that?
What can I say? This is how the cookie crumbles back in the day. And he did not come by coup d'etat. He was the firstborn son of his father, King Senzangakona. He took his rightful place, and he was installed in a ceremony. So he did not need to kill anybody to get the position as a rightful heir. But his brothers took him out. So sadly, but yeah, that's how it goes, eh?
Yeah, because others, they also believe that he was not rightfully, or he was not the rightful king that should have been
why not?
into the space.
Why not, and who should it have been? If it's not King Shaka, who? Because remember, that was King Senzangakona's first child, male child, and he becomes the crown prince automatically.
There are, of course, allegations of that have surfaced in this Google history that has come around that King Shaka was not born in the Zulu kingdom. Umamake naye wamthola eceleni somewhere. Is that the fact, or is just as, you know?
The truth of the matter is, King Shaka's birth was a virgin birth, like Mary in the Bible. Okay? The mother, Queen Nandi, and King Senzangakona, they met as young people. And they did the non-penetrative deed. But she still managed to fall pregnant. So that's why they did not believe that Unandi was actually... so when Nandi became pregnant, then her family asked her, what's going on with you? She says, I didn't do anything. They said, but look, you're pregnant. So I could not be. So they checked her, they found she was still a virgin. Then they asked her, who is this person that you didn't do anything with? And he said, it's Senzangakona of the Zulu kingdom. So then they passed a message to the Zulu kingdom and said, listen, your son didn't do anything to our daughter, but now she's going to have a baby. Then the Zulu kingdom, because Senzangakona was a prince, they said, we think she's not well. She's got that beetle called Ishaga. And when you have that beetle, it makes your stomach rise. Okay? That's how King Shaka got his name, because they thought his mom was not okay, he was just sick. So when she gave birth, they then went to tell the Zulu family, listen, that beetle has now become a human being. Okay? So he was born, and because the family of Nandi's family was unhappy that she fell pregnant out of wedlock, they did not want her to give birth at home. They said, go to that family that made you pregnant. And those on this side says, no, we don't have anything to do with this. So the day she was starting to have labor pains, she started walking, going to because it wasn't too far away, to the Zulu family, right? The Senzangakona's people. She ended up giving birth under a tree, all by herself. Hence in Zulu they say, umntwana wesihlahla. Okay? It means a child born out of wedlock, based on King Shaka where he was born. So it is a fact, he was not born in either family, but it was a tree between the two. I went to see the tree, by the way, in the kingdom.
Oh, is it
it's
still there?
Yeah, it is still there.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's a very interesting story.
Yes. So I'm saying there's a whole lot of little bits and pieces that is all in the book, though. And I try to tell in a very fascinating way so that people find it interesting. It mustn't just be a boring history book.
Yes, then it goes back again to this thing of, when do we start recognizing the fact that you are now eligible to take kingship if you are born out of wedlock? So how about the first child that is born in marriage?
To be born in wedlock or outside wedlock is a technicality.
Okay.
What counts? The first child, the first male child, is a crown prince, in or outside a marriage. It doesn't matter, so long as the first child if you're a king, okay, or if you're a prince going to be a king, like in Senzangakona's time, his first child is automatically the crown prince. Remember, he also was wrong to have a baby before he became king. It is not just with the women. Even the guys were not allowed to have babies until the correct time,
Dolly says that, but men always are given liberty to look forever but not women. Women bear the brunt of being unfaithful when men get scot-free. That's the comment that you read.
I think Dolly wasn't listening to our conversation. Nobody's stopping the women. They mustn't just get caught.
But now...
But they do it. Come on, you know that they do it.
But now, if I could stand up now and go find a boyfriend somewhere, and while I'm married, and people see me, maybe if I'm having a boyfriend and yet I'm married, you are being seen as, they even use derogatory words against you, and we have normalized men having more than one, but we cannot normalize women having more than one.
Can I tell you something in Zulu?
Yes.
You're married to somebody, you're Mrs. So-and-so, right?
Yes, madam.
Yes. They won't say, we are a slut or we are this. They will say, utandu kom.
How never?
Did you hear that? There's dignity in that.
They don't put dignity in.
No, I'm saying in Zulu, in proper Zulu, they say utanda ukom. They'll never say you're a slut.
Oh.
Utanda ukom.
Okay. Okay.
Please translate that. Translate that.
It means that basically she is saying that in Zulu, if you date more than one man, they would not say that you are loose or whatever. However, they would say that you like to date.
Yes, you like going out with different people.
You just like to date, and you like to, go out with different people.
Yeah.
And how about a man then? If you are a man,
it's where the men now, but hey, but
no. If a man have more than one girl, they say
isoga.
Yes. Which means that you are a man.
Tough guy. Yeah, tough guy.
And why is that? Why are we having this? If traditionally a woman is allowed to obviously get into multiple relationships, meanwhile a man is also allowed to do the same thing. Of course, it's not that saying you must have it, but you're saying that no one is stopping you from doing that. Traditionally, you can go ahead and do what you want to do. However, it has always been dressed as something that was abnormal for women to have more than one partner, but it is normal for a man to do so.
Think about this. Before the white people came, the way life was organized was very different.
Yes.
Ask yourself, why is it that when your husband catches you in the traditional way with another man, he does not divorce you, doesn't beat you? That is your point of departure. Because they say, when we got married, when I used to ask people, but now, you married so-and-so now, but we are having children outside, not with your wife, with somebody else's. Hey, listen, when I married her, right, she's supposed to put up with all my mistakes. I'll tell my wife it's a mistake. She did not say to me, I'll stay married to you because you won't commit mistakes. You said, I'm in here for the whole law. For everything that happens, we're going to be together. Can you see the basis is different?
Yes.
It's not because you mustn't look at another woman, you mustn't have babies outside, and so on. Personally, it's very challenging. It's like, what? You get it? But that is what's happening now. You've also known of other couples where the woman was caught, even having a baby with another man. The child is not going to be taken away. He said, my wife just made a mistake. This child is also mine. Knowing very well with this child is not mine. But you understand, it's not about that.
Yes.
It's just a philosophy of how things are organized there, you know?
Okay. In nowadays, somebody was saying a few days ago that should DNA not be, if there was comparison DNA when you are given birth they do a DNA
test.
A lot of people would not be belonging into the families that they are raised from way back, not just now, until today as well. Is that the case?
My point exactly. So the people long ago were smarter than us. They knew there's always mistakes, always the mistakes. So sometimes you pretend you don't see the mistakes. For the purpose of society and the family, you keep going. Even if the child can have a different skin tone, totally. And it becomes very clear. In fact, the women are the ones who club together against your husband. You know, your sisters-in-law, your mother-in-law, right? And you say to them, you tell them first, hey guys, something happened. I think it's not good. They say, don't worry. When the baby is born, we'll say it looks like another grandfather who died long ago. You say that women conspiracy is very much alive. Or if your husband, you're together, you get married, and there are no children after 2 years, They'll ask you formally, what's going on? Is there action in the bedroom? And you say, yes, but I don't know. They're like, okay, do us a favor. Go, hamba kumfino. You know mfino, right? Go and get some vegetables in the field. And then after a few months, and you tell them, no, I'm good. Then they'll say to your husband, woo, I'm so happy your wife is now going to have a baby. Knowing very well it's not him. They say, no, you see, men are like babies. You know, they must tell them everything because they won't understand. And for their egos, they've got very big egos. They don't want to walk around thinking I can't have a child. Okay? And then sure enough, the baby gets born. They raise that, they're happy. He would know, right? He'll never know it's not his child. And then when the child is sick, or very crying at night, they'll say, Makoti, please step outside and keep the baby quiet, man. You're making noise here. They're actually saying to you, go outside and call the child by their proper surname. Women have figured these things long time ago. Me and you are just wasting time in Johannesburg. I'm saying this. Remember, it's a Kumalo, right? But the child belongs to a Kumalo, right? The women will say, if this child is crying, they say, when you go outside, you say, Tula Kumalo. Because the baby keeps quiet. Because the women know, the guy will never know. And why do you tell them it doesn't matter?
It's a very, you know, it's very interesting when we get to, you know, speak about these things and get to understand as to where people are coming from. But there's this thing of igazi, you know, your blood, and having to know who you are, having to know where you come from. And does that really relate to your blood, or it relates to where you are raised? So right now, let's say now you have a child, maybe I have a child by a Kumalo, and then at the very same time, while having a child by a Kumalo, or maybe married to a Kumalo, and then Kumalo angzali, angkhona ukuthola abantwana, and then they tell me go and get umfino from the field, and then when I get there, I need udlamini. Udlamini gets me pregnant. Then I come back home, and then we clap hands for Kumalo. Kumalo, you've done a great job. Your wife is now pregnant, so everything is all hunky-dory. But the child I'm carrying is a Dlamini. It's not a Kumalo. How are we going to ensure that this child keeps his or her identity as they grow up, because they are not a Kumalo, they are a Dlamini? Now, does your being, for you being who you are, does it count on blood, or is it about where you are raised?
It's blood. Because what will happen, obviously you're going to tell the ancestors of the Kumalos, Ugutu, Umakumete has now a baby. Please accept this child and look after this child. That's all it is, right? Similarly, with the Dlaminis, they now know they have a baby. You take the baby there to his people to say, here's our child. He lives over there with Makumete under the, you know, care of Kumalo.
This relationship must be, the mother must tell this guy's Guti,
yes, because it's true. And then Mabem Zelusigo, when the traditional things, he must do the Dlamini things. He can do them Kumalo things, no problem.
But then how come Kumalo would not know Uguti?
Because men have got big egos and they're fragile. But don't upset them.
So if they have big egos, so now what if Udlamini comes and say, now I want my child?
Everybody's nice to each other. I get, why must he talk? He doesn't want to, you know, disturb. What is he going to gain by doing that? You just told me. If people are to do DNAs, there'll be no families. There'll be no families. So it's not in the interest, Dlamini, to come and tell Kumalo, Guti, I'm helping you.
Nonetheless, Mshalo, you've been great. It's always great with you. Where do people get your book?
You can order it from me directly, or 079 26 00 149. 079 26 00 149. Yeah, give me a call, send me a text message, I'll deliver. If it's out of Johannesburg or Gauteng, I send by courier.
Okay, perfect. If you want to get hold of Mshalo Mbatha, we're going to put your contact details on our screen so that people could be able to. Are you on social media by any chance?
Yes. It's on Twitter, and it's on Facebook, and it's on...
as Shalom Mbatha.
Yes,
on your social media
make it Shalom Mbatha. It makes it easier.
Yes.
My kids are going to kill me. Yesterday they told me I must remember my handle. I've forgotten. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm the author, okay? But I'm there, so Shalom Mbatha, it's good.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Right now we are going to be hosting the leader of the IFP. And I understand
in Gauteng?
No, right now, right? He's going to be sitting right where you're sitting now.
Right, okay.
In just a few minutes, I think in about 3 minutes, you'll be sitting right where you are sitting right now. We're going to have a conversation with him. What question would you like me to ask traditionally?
Ask him how many wives he has.
Okay, I'll ask that question. And I'm so happy that you were telling me that, so that I would say, Ma'am Shalo,
how many wives?
How many wives you are having. Okay, thank you so much, Ma'am.
It's a pleasure.
It's been a great pleasure to have you right this morning. It's time for us to take a very short break. As we have said, we have got the president of the Inkatha Freedom Party who will be sitting right here with us on the green couch. And of course, we have that question from Ma'am Shalombata Uguti. How many wives does your father have in one day? We're going to have that answer. Please do stay with us.
Thank you, sis.
Tech Talk brought to you by Tamani Technologies and Systems. Tamani Technologies and Systems takes leadership in fourth industrial revolution. The whole world is facing a transformation. The revolution will be developed into the following stages: digitization, cyber security, Internet of Things, managed services, document management, and business applications. We provide business transformation and ICT solutions with presence in 13 African countries and 2 European countries. We are your leading partner in integrated platform providers, innovation leaders, standalone products, and innovation pace setters. Tamani Technologies and Systems, delivering value across continents.
Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Now, I believe that my peace is my most valuable asset.
Absolutely beautiful! This is exactly what I was looking for! DJ Khaled!
It is a day to celebrate.
We're ready for action. I like it when it's nice and soft. Yeah, that is nice.
How was it like growing up in Nigeria? Yes, sir, you know what it is.
Feeling is there that, you're doing something special.
Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
You should just be what you want to be.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
Hello. The fourth industrial technology era has forcefully changed how every profession has been working for its clients. The world has become smaller than what we used to think. Imagine the ease of talking to a person who is in Australia, China, or Germany while you are in South Africa, as if you're just next door. The ease that globalization and the fourth industrial technology have brought to humanity entail doing business anywhere in the world as long as you have the purpose and the means. It is our expertise as MB Chabangu Incorporated to advise clients immigrating to South Africa on various permits and on opportunities for travelers who intend to sojourn in South Africa for a longer period of time. Ayé náà ti kéré ju èyí tí a rò lọ. Nítorí náà, ìmọ̀ wa ní ìsìlọ̀ àti òfin àgbáyé ṣe wá ní ọ́fíìsì àkókò lórí àwọn ìṣòwò ilé àti ìgbaniláyé láti gba ìwé ìrìnnà fún iṣẹ́ okòwò.
Go MB Chabangu Incorporated, reba eleji di notary le basebedisi le di office tsa rena kwa Pretoria, Johannesburg le Bloemfontein. MB Chabangu Incorporated e humanega ga bonolo go bareki ba rena. Go humana tlhagiso leseding ka botlalo re kgopela le re leletse mogala go 012 341